fond memories of the pub. We still often talk about it. Geezer and myself talk about old clubs we used to play in Germany and England, and certain things you'll remember about that. There was like a bit of a laugh, for us at that time. Coming out and pushing the van and all that sort of stuff, and loading it. Just all the things that went on. Now you still remember them, and we think quite fondly of them. They're good memories, and it's part of what we're all about. All that was good for us. I mean, we used to play in. We couldn't get a lot of work, quite honestly, in England, because there weren't the places. As you said, there was folk and blues clubs, but a lot of them were like folk players and stuff. And when we'd play, I mean, they would all be there.
Wow, what a Saturday. Back to the beginning. The final concert of Ozzy and Black Sabbath, man. Woo. All the groups were fantastic. The all-star groups were fantastic. There's great tributes. Just a fantastic show all around. I couldn't be there, but I was watching the live stream. So for those of you there, I'm so jealous. But I do have this rare interview with Tony Iommi where he talks about the early days, the beginning. So I figured, perfect timing, right? So let's have some fun and watch this interview with Tony as he talks about the Star Club, Jethro Tull, traveling in a van. He talks about the 80s and 90s just a little bit, but this is mainly about the beginning of the band. So let's watch it together and have some fun.
Hello, I'm Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath, and here's something extremely noisy.
When you sort of look back to the earlier days, I mean, you've mentioned it a few times, of sort of, say perhaps looking back to when you started first playing, I mean, you were playing folk clubs and blues clubs, weren't you? I mean, the sort of the places you were playing, I mean, do you look back with sort of, oh my God, that was awful, or are they quite fond memories, really?
No, we had quite fond memories of the pub. We still often talk about it. Geezer and myself talk about old clubs we used to play in Germany and England, and certain things you'll remember about that. There was like a bit of a laugh, for us at that time. Coming out and pushing the van and all that sort of stuff, and loading it. Just all the things that went on. Now you still remember them, and we think quite fondly of them. They're good memories, and it's part of what we're all about. All that was good for us. I mean, we used to play in. We couldn't get a lot of work, quite honestly, in England, because there weren't the places. As you said, there was folk and blues clubs, but a lot of them were like folk players and stuff. And when we'd play, I mean, they would all be there, So we had to go really to Europe to start getting work, and we went to the Star Club and used to do like a month there, and go somewhere else and do 3 weeks there. But the spots were horrendous. We used to play like 7 3/4 spots a day, which was a lot to do, really. We'd start at like 2 in the afternoon and then go right through, 3/4 of an hour, have a 1/4 of an hour break, another thing. And we'd be playing to like 2 people when we start, and probably about 5 at the end of the night, But it was good for us. It was good practice, and it enabled us to really pull ourselves together, and it was the foundation of what we're all about, really.
Yeah, I mean, you were more sort of bluesy based then, weren't you? I mean, it definitely wasn't as hard. I mean, say when sort of you did the first album, that Black Sabbath album, I mean, that was renowned as just a wall of total noise, and nobody seemed to be doing that at that time. I mean, where did that evolve from? I mean, where did you arrive at that from, sort of what you were doing when you were gigging earlier on?
Well, I think what happened at that stage was we were called Earth at this point and whatever, before that first album. And we weren't probably really together. We were rehearsing at whatever time we'd get up and all that. And we'd done a few gigs, and we'd done a gig with Jethro Tull. And it was the night Mick Abrams was leaving, and they asked me if I'd join. And I didn't know what to do, really. I told all the others, and I said, what do you think? And they said, well, you should have a go. You should go. So I went down and auditioned with them, and with these 200 other guitar players. I thought, there's no way I'm going to sit around here waiting for my go when they'll say no at the end of it. And it happened. I got the job, and then that was for me real strict work, because it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, rehearsals on the dot, working through and until it's finished, And I'd never experienced that. Bloody hell, this is, 9 o'clock in the morning, getting up at 8 o'clock to get there for them. But it really done me a lot of good. And when I didn't actually, I only stayed a month with them, and it wasn't for me, But it was great, because when I came back, we got the band back together again, and then we changed our name to Sabbath and whatever. But it was good because it gave me the insight to see that that's what we should be doing. We've got to start early in the morning. We've got to rehearse strict. And it really, the album really, the material started changing from then on when we started playing, and we came up with this sort of music that none of us can really explain what it was. It was just, we just liked it, what we were doing.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I don't know whether it's a bit ridiculous to say, but the Midlands, for instance, very sort of industrial and stuff. And if you take sort of, there's Priest and there's Zeppelin and there's Slade and there's sort of yourselves and there's Napalm. I mean, we did an interview with Rob Halford or with Priest not so long ago, and they were sort of saying, you know, it was all that sort of industrial, you know, sort of mine works or whatever, steel works or whatever. And I mean, could you say that in a way, because what was happening and so many sort of brilliant bands came out at that time, I mean, that it would have anything to do with what was going on?
Oh, absolutely. I think, I say again, the background we all came from, where our backgrounds was quite a rough area, quite gangs and, you know, a lot of fighting and that type of life, really. So I suppose you were striving to try and get out of that, you know, try and get away from all that aggravation and, you know, and the way you live and stuff. But it's got a great influence of where you come from into the music, yeah.
Has your attitude changed since the earlier days?
Probably. It probably has.
I mean, so you'd notice dramatically?
Well, it's hard to say over because if I could turn back and see myself now, I could say, well, that's what I've changed. But you don't realise it when you're sort of going on, I suppose.
Are you still as enthusiastic?
Absolutely. I'm very enthusiastic about playing, and I went through a period years ago of, I think I'm going to knock it on the head, thinking about it, and then I couldn't seem to do that. I sort of got away from it for a period, and then wanted to get back again and play. And I've had that enthusiasm more and more lately. You know, I really enjoy playing. I enjoy getting out on tour. I hate travelling, but I like to be there and play. That's what we're all about, and that's the great excitement to me, is to get on stage and play.
You said about going on the road, sort of touring. I mean, you did quite a tour last year, but I mean, it's obviously a lot more comfortable now than perhaps it was in the early days. But I mean, is it a bit of a nightmare? I mean, is it part of the course? Well,
quite honestly, you say it's more comfortable now. Well, it probably is more comfortable. We used to all go around in the van in the early days, but we've stopped all the flying, like. I mean, we've got away from flying to gigs and every time now, and I prefer going by road now. I actually like the idea of a tour bus. I do like it. I do enjoy that. It's a lot less stressful to me. All the thing of getting to the airport and getting in the car and getting on the plane and getting the limo there, it's just such a pain, really. I'd sort of just get on the bus and get there and, you know, and play. And you're living that sort of thing of being always involved in it. It's great. I love it.
I don't know whether you've actually thought of it like this, but with sort of, I know there's been quite a few vocalists, but with the sort of, say, if we take sort of the Aussie time, the Dio time, and then Tony, do you think that at the time, to you, in a way, I mean, whether you realised it or not, was it like a sort of Black Sabbath with sort of three-pronged personality? I mean, was it three different bands, do you think, at the time?
Never really looked at it like that. I mean, it's obviously it's a different band because there's a different singer, but it's like a continuation of where we left off in some ways, I suppose, where we had the Aussie era, and then went on a different way again with Ronnie, and then again a different way with Gillan. But the Gillan lineup, that wasn't originally going to be a Black Sabbath lineup. We put that together on paper, and we were going to do it change the name, do it as a different name. But of course, as things happen, and record companies want you to do a Black Sabbath album, and we went under Black Sabbath. I think if we'd have gone under a different name, it might have been a little bit more. We'd had a bit more leverage in what we're doing. And it was difficult, I think, for Ian, for Ian Gillan, coming into the band from Deep Purple to come with Sabbath. There was equally, a big band. I think we probably expected a bit too much from him.
Wow, man. Can you imagine what it was like to travel with those guys for 1 week? I mean, if there was a Doc Brown that really invented a time machine, forget going into the future, forget going to the Old West. I want to go to 68 and 69, hang around those guys for 1 week. I mean, think about it. You're traveling in a van, going to the Star Club, meeting Jethro Tull, and you earn 10 pounds. Drive 100 miles, earn 10 pounds. I've always loved Tony's interviews because you can tell he's not lying. He's not making stuff up. He's being as honest as he can be, which that's what I've always loved about Tony. And I collect all of his interviews in his DVD set I call Iron Man, Tony Iommi, the interview sessions. So I have interviews with him, over the years that are kind of somewhat separate from the Sabbath, but some of it's about solo work and this, that, and the other. Now, what is in this collection? Will more of it be appearing on my channel? Well, you have to stay tuned to find out. So like this video and subscribe to my channel because you never, ever know what I have in my collection here that will be next. So thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you later.